Well, good evening, everybody. It's Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike, and a lot of times I do bees. Welcome back to Southeast Louisiana, here in my area where I do those videos where I don't tell you how to. I simply show you how I do. So I'm here in my honey house. I'm getting ready to do some bottling. See, I still got those boxes. Those things have been there for 2 weeks now. I was waiting for the flow to be over, and I'm gonna put them out for the bees to clean. And I've actually still got another honey box I want to pull off a hive, and I'm gonna extract that honey. But that's really all I'm doing is getting those off. Not today. It'll be tomorrow. I got to go out there. And one other thing I have to do is go into that hive that I showed you where I put the little nuke swarm on top and combined. See if that queen took. And I'll probably shoot a video tomorrow for release in a few days. Show you what happened with her. Did she make it? Did they combine well? Do I now have a queen-right colony? I don't know. We'll see. So I am in the honey house. I'm getting ready to I'm getting ready to bottle some honey for the market tomorrow. And this video isn't about that at all, actually. But that's what I'm getting ready to do. How I do it, again, how I do, is I have all my honey bottled for the market, and I know about what I take. Well, I know exactly what I take each week. We know about what sells. We've been selling honey at that same market now probably 7 years. Yeah, about 7 years. So what I do is I bottle it, and whatever's left over I stack right back in this warming cabinet, which is an old commercial freezer where I keep a couple buckets always going so that they're warm and easy to pour. And then I go through and I go, okay, what did I say you sell last week? Wasn't a huge sale, although we did touchdowns instead of field goals. Basically, we sold big ones instead of small ones, so we sold a lot of pound and a halves, quarts, and some glass pints. We sold like one pounder. But I go in and I count what I need to make up for for tomorrow's market. And sometimes we come back from the market and this will all be gone, except for 4 or 5 in the back here and there. Oh, my lights just came on because the door's open. And so that's what I do. I keep the stock ready. That way, the bottles I have bottled don't crystallize, and everything else is in the warming tank in the bottler, ready to be bottled. So I've always got honey at the ready. So I'm going to count up what I need and bottle. But again, that's not what this video is about. So I'm going to get that going, then I'm going to get back to you really quickly. So done with that. Not a lot to bottle. Really quick. Actually, I got to throw some labels on everything, but then I'll be wrapped up with my bottling for the night. Throw a few labels on. As you can see, it wasn't great sales last week, but these are the big ones. I always like to sell the big ones, the quarts and such. And with that and some creamed honey we sold, plus the sales outside the market. For my little operation, it's just a little bit here and a little bit there. Some weeks we sell almost, like I said, the whole shelf, and other times it's just that little bit of honey that I sell. But sometimes I look at it as a good thing, going, whew, I ain't got to bottle a lot the night before. So, bottling honey is not actually what I got my video camera out for. Just happened to have to get that done tonight and figured I'd bring you along out here so when I'm done I can talk to you with what I'm saying. Basically, it's kind of like a review of the season because I got to be honest, folks, the season is over for us. Yeah, I know, it's mid-November. Still going to open a hive tomorrow, but and most of you guys, like Brad up in Canada and Ian, all those guys got their hives packed away. I saw Bob Benny getting the last of his fall checks done, and us down here. It was a strange year, very strange year. So, I wonder, and I do this every year. This is 11 years going into beekeeping now, and I always look back at that last year and look forward to the next, and what did I do wrong and what can I do better? Or what did I do right and something I would like to build upon? And that's what I do every year. So, was it a failure because it was such an odd year? Well, in some cases there were some failures, and other cases there was success. One success with the super hot year we had was I made it out without heat exhaustion. That's a plus. Because my goodness was it hot. And but we had some challenges this year. And you get going sometimes and get in that routine, and all of a sudden you get a wrench thrown in the gears. You get a curveball thrown to you, and there were some curveballs for sure. So the first curveball was, well, here's how the year started. The year started with absolute exploding colonies. February, nectar flow hitting like it normally would, which that's just to let you know, February is, we're looking at, 2 months away for us. 2 months. And I'll be reversing boxes, and then in 2 months and 2 weeks, I'll be popping lids to see if we've got any kind of nectar flow, probably putting some fondant on somewhere in that winter time, to get ready for the buildup. So that said, February last year, we began really seeing a ton of nectar coming in, and the blackberries exploded. Things just really were booming. A lot of stuff going on to where the hives were growing. The colonies were just exploding on us. And the bees were just filling up with nectar. I was ripping honey out of boxes trying to get the excess honey off because we had a very, very warm winter, so I was sweating out the mites and the beetles. But it also, they began bringing in nectar very early. So I had all this honey, and they didn't consume a lot because the winter was so short. Now down here, our winters are very warm, and that causes a problem where the bees continue to go out looking for nectar and don't find any for a couple months. And they tend to eat through their honey pretty quick. But we didn't get that opportunity last year. And it blew up fast on us to where we thought we were going to have a really busy swarm season trying to control swarming. And that just didn't happen. Because probably by the third week of March, right as I had my first set of grafted queens in, they had already started making cells in the starter portion of the phase of the cloak board. And we had a major freeze. For us, it was a major freeze. And we don't, to get a major freeze that late in March really set us back. And so as you guys know, we lost the tallow flow. We completely lost the tallow trees except for, in our area, except for a few here and there. And it wasn't enough to just really make a big crop of honey. And that was a problem. So, that set us back. We had a 50% yield this year, and I could think back over, I always said if I didn't build up fast enough, I would feed. But the problem with that this year was we weren't building fast. We were staying 2 to 4 weeks behind. The hive stayed 2 to 4 weeks behind. Yet we had no flow we could look for. There was nothing. Our tallow is our main flow in May. The privet did not come in. And the tallow we knew wasn't going to come in by that time. So I'm thinking, do I pour a bunch of feed to them? Because if I do, I have to continue feeding them on through the dearth. Because I could feed them up, get them into the flow, and it really would have thrown things out of whack. If the flow didn't come, I would have had to continue feeding them. So what I did was let them consume some of the honey they had already gathered in the big explosion. And I don't think I made a mistake because everybody pretty much got a 50% yield, and that's what I got. Whatever normally blooms during tallow, the bees will avoid. This year they didn't. They had to go get it, and it was a very dark, creamy type of thick, dry honey, and it's very tasty, and it's nice to have a difference, but it's 50% less honey we normally get. The blessing is the year before we had a bumper crop, so, it all worked out. But then came the drought. Oh, the drought, the dead grass, the dry. We went 6 weeks, nothing. And when the rain we did get was come and gone, and another 3 to 5 weeks somewhere in there. It was awful. I underestimated it. It wasn't that my bees didn't have food. It was that they didn't hit a growth spurt after the flow when we still have residual honey coming in before the dearth actually strikes. And we usually have a little bit of residual honey, but we always have some pollen coming in during our dearth. That pollen is what really spurs growth in colonies. That really spurs bees growth. I know nectar, you put nectar, they grow. Nectar helps them build wax and grow, but pollen really kickstarts them into rearing brood. Pollen is what causes them to rear brood. We had no pollen in the dearth. The drought, I underestimated what it would do. I just figured the next week we're going to get rain. The next week we're going to get rain. We didn't get rain. We had no pollen all the way up through almost the fall. And that really stunted the growth on these colonies. Wow, were they stunted, and there we are. We got weak colonies. And I actually usually take my losses in October. I took my losses in end of August going into September. Fortunately, we haven't had any more losses. The only one I got to check on tomorrow is that one I had to combine. Haven't seen where maybe that swarm came from, if it even came from mine. Everybody's still alive right now. That's a plus. Hopefully it was just an early time to take the losses and we're done. Because we did get the mites under control. We did do all that. Pests stayed pretty much at bay when it comes to the beetles. Didn't do bad with that, but that lack of pollen and that drought, really, it was just it wasn't like a normal dearth. It was an actual drought where there was nothing. And I didn't feed them pollen patties. Pollen patties are tough to feed down here because of the hive beetles. I put out some dry sub, trying to just boost them. Fortunately, we had a great fall flow. So they bulked up really well. They put in brood. They started putting in brood. Are they at the strength they need to be? No. They're not where they normally are. But they're at decent, 5, 6, and 7 frame boxes. Usually we'll say I will be at 6, 7, 8 to 10 frame boxes this time. So we're off some. And that concerns me, but it is what it is at this point. They got a great flow coming in. So I'm not complaining. They built what they could build. So I look back and go, was it a failure? Yeah, there were some failures. I don't think feeding in the dirt or feeding to build up for a flow we didn't know would come or not come and really didn't come, I don't think that hurt me. I would have gotten 2 to 3 more frames worth of bees maybe out of the whole thing if I would have fed, and then maybe we would have made a little bit more. But the bottom line, we had a very bad flow this year for our normal main flow. So I don't call that a failure. It could have went either way. It wouldn't have hurt to feed, but I don't think it would have. I wouldn't have got more than my 50% yield. I really don't think I would have. Just looking at the condition of the hives and when we would have had to feed them and what offset I would have had on the cost of sugar. The dearth, on the other hand, if I could do it over again, I'd probably feed them some pollen patties and would have put some sugar syrup out. That was a fail. That was a fail. So what I'm thinking now is I'm planning on buying some HiveAlive pollen patties because it's with the global and does have the supplement. And we talked about HiveAlive in another video, whether what I think about it, and I like it, so I'm going to get the pollen patties, and I'm going to feed those in the spring this season. And I'm going to feed small strips, and I'm going to try and take these colonies that are going in the winter a bit weaker because they're surely not going to grow a lot. Now our bees down here will grow a little bit still coming on, coming on into November till we get that first freeze. And then of course after the solstice we'll get a spurt of growth in January. And when we warm up some, our coldest time of year down here is usually around January, February, but we'll see brood going in and it'll keep the cluster around that brood and they'll move with it. And we'll see brood into January when we do box reversals. So my plan is to do some box reversals. But the plan is either way to try and grow these brood nests a little quicker because I don't think they're going to be as big as normal coming out of winter because they're not going to grow. They're only going to shrink. So we'll be doing a little bit of pollen patty. So I look at the failures, a couple of them there. I look at the successes. We came out, with a decent yield and the bees are doing okay. It was a very, very unusual year. Seeing things we just never saw before. And I say we, me and my buddy Kenny, other beekeepers that I know in the area that have been doing it a while, Mr. Ed, Wreck and Ralph, those guys. I talked with Wreck and Ralph just a couple weeks ago, and I'm telling you, it's a crazy year for all of us. He's seeing this. It's funny. You go in there and everybody's seeing the same thing, as you look in your area and you go, okay, yeah, I'm not crazy. So those are the failures I see. Those are the successes I see. Those are a couple of plans I'm going to do. It's getting to the time of year now where no more at all getting in the hives. If they're not set, they're not going to be set, except for that one I'm going to look in. And I'll shoot a video of that. We're going to be ready to start melting down some of the old burr comb that's out there in the freezer that hadn't been melted down. Finish out cleaning the honey house out. I got to go around with some red spray paint, dot some boxes that are rotten, dot some bottom boards so that come spring, during box reversals, whatever, we can clean bottom boards off. We can get bottom boards replaced. February, we can start replacing boxes, swapping out frames, things of that nature, cleaning frames, waxing frames, all that good stuff we do, building new boxes, painting boxes. You know what it is, guys. It never stops. You know what? It's a challenge for all of us. We all have them. Hey, we all try to conquer them. we all have those years that beat us. We all have those years where it beats us down sometimes. About September, I'm usually really over beekeeping, and it's great to get that slow down so that I can get reignited and re-excited about the hobby I love. It's one of those things where, you know, we take each year as we can. We learn to problem solve. We learn to manipulate. You know, I'm going to say we learn to overcome those things by learning how the bee lives, what the bee biology is, so that we're ready for the variables. And you know, it's just one of those things we do. And we keep doing it because we love it. And no matter where we live, we have to tailor it to our operation, our level, our climate, you know, our pests, our challenges. And we all come together, and we all learn from each other, and we all grow together. And that's what's been so great about the YouTube community, is we're all growing together, we're all learning from each other, and we're all moving forward as best we can. And we're helping those that may hit that season where they get beat down. I'm telling you, you guys in their comments, you know, helped me get through some times this season where it's tough. So there you go. That's kind of what I want to talk about. What I saw as failures, what I see as successes, kind of what we're going to do pretty soon, what's on the agenda. The videos, will they slow down? Will they keep on? Of course they'll keep on. I don't know if they'll stay as often. I'm going to try to shoot things I do, because again, this is a vlog and it's not a how-to. But I also know that people pick up tips and tricks, and that's always good too. So we'll keep shooting them. Don't know how often they're going to be, but hey, it's over for the year. Things are slowing down. We're going to see where this next year takes us. We're going to see what the bees do over the winter, and we're going to keep on going. Hey, it's Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike, and I do bees. Pretty much shutting it down for the winter. You guys have a wonderful week. Hope your fall is good to you. Hope your bees are doing well. May God bless you, and we'll see you on the next one.